Hey, this is Abraham with the Government Contractors Association. I want to tell you a little bit about myself and how I got here in terms of helping businesses in the government sector. I'm originally from Laos, came to this country when I was about 6 years old. Now, Laos is a third world country. The average person makes about $1 a day, $365 a year. And that's the typical salary or annual income in Laos. But I came here right at the end of the Vietnam War, and the U.S. had been in the war over there, but the U.S. couldn't technically put soldiers in Laos. So they brought our people, the indigenous people of Laos, to help fight against the communist regime. And so that's kind of how our people, the Hmong people, got involved in the war. As such, during this time here, when the war was over, the U.S. pulled out, and our people were just kind of left there. And so we needed to find a way of, we were wondering what we're going to do. And so if we're going to stay, then if we're going to stay, then we need to find a way to adjust under the new regime. If we're going to move, where are we going to move to? So at the end of the day, my parents decided, as hard as it is for them to pack up everything and leave the country, we became refugees and we decided to flee Laos. Now, leaving Laos is not like getting on an airplane, buying a ticket on Delta, and leaving the country. Leaving Laos meant we carried what we could on our backs, and we traveled during the nighttime, and we hid during the day to avoid the soldiers. Now, my parents had 6 little kids at that time. We had a newborn, a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old. I was 6 years old. My brother was 8 years old, and sister, all the way to about 12 years old. So 6 little kids. Imagine 6 little kids trying to get out of the country. Well, I remember, at that age, I remember bits and pieces of it because I was old enough to remember some of it. I remember just being hungry in the jungle. And we had to eat roots wherever we can forage in the jungle. We ate bugs. My kids think that's nasty, but hey, it was protein. It was nutrients at that time. We ate leaves, and we survived off of the land for a few months until we finally got to the border of Laos and Thailand, which is the Mekong River. And we needed to cross the river. Well, we couldn't just swim across the river, and so we walked up and down the river, and we finally found a family with a small little raft with a motor on it. And so we told the family, we said, hey, please take us across. If you can take us across, we'll give you whatever little money we have left over. And so we gave them the little resources we have, and they took us across to Thailand. We were greeted at the border with the Thai soldiers, where they gave us some food to eat, and they took us to refugee camps. And I remember living in the refugee camps, thousands of people all scrunching together. It's just a tent village. And on good days, you get 3 meals. On okay days, you get 2 meals. On bad days, you get 1 meal. And on really tough days, there is no food to eat because it's not like you can go earn a living. You're at the grace of the United Nations, and whatever they can provide, that's what you had. So we live in the refugee camps for about close to a year, and we were fortunate enough to have a church in Ohio that sponsored us to come to the U.S. Now, just imagine people that live in the jungle, have never seen the Western world, have never seen anything that's modern. Getting onto an airplane was scary enough, and we were about to land in Ohio, and we looked out the window, and we thought, wow, America is so different. It was not what we imagined it to be. And it was middle of winter in Ohio. And we got scared because as we saw what's outside, all we saw was just whiteness. And we thought that America was just a land of white sand, a white desert, and that we were going to die in America. And finally, they had to explain to us that, hey, that's just snow, that's ice, and that it will melt away. Because Laos is green, tropical. America, we thought it was just white sand, that we're going to die here. But we made our adjustment, environmental adjustment, cultural adjustment. Flipping the light switch was something new for us. Turning on running water. I mean, the only running water we knew was the stream running next to our hut. And my parents were the first generation to have reading and writing. We've been using oral history all the way up to that point. And so coming to America was a big adjustment for us. And I remember just how scary that time was, but more so the opportunities that was available here for us in the United States. one of my first thing that I decided to do was, this is truly a land of opportunity, and I can do whatever I want to do in this country and build whatever I need to do and be a successful person in this country. So I decided I was going to be an entrepreneur. So from a very young age, I just kind of was really intrigued with entrepreneurship and business and strategies. And so I started reading a book, starting to do different things. At 19, about almost 20 years old, I decided to start my own first company. It was a baseball card comic book store, which it was my hobby, and I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool? Everybody's collecting baseball cards. Now, for some of you, you may not know what baseball cards are, but in the 90s, baseball card was the rage. It was everything. And so I took my little hobby and partnered with this older gentleman, and we opened up a little retail store and started selling baseball cards. Well, we took a few boxes of baseball cards and turned it into thousands and millions of baseball cards, and it was a fun time doing that. And then about 3 years into doing that business, I told my partner that I want to be a missionary for the rest of my life. And he said, hey, if you're going to do that, why don't you pursue your passion? So I told my parents I was going to go back to Laos and be a missionary. My parents thought I was crazy because they said, son, we sold everything so that you can come to America, but now you want to sell everything so you can go back to Laos. That does not make any sense. And I told them, hey, I'm young. I want to change the world. Let me do that. So they said, hey, if that's really what you want to do, go for it. So I went back to Thailand, spent about a year in Thailand trying to get back into Laos. Did mission work in Thailand, but the doors to Laos never opened up. It's a communist country still, and for a young person to go back to Laos, they didn't understand why I want to go back to Laos. Now, my first name is Abraham. Abraham is not a good name to go into a communist country. They didn't want the president of the United States, which is politics. They didn't want politics over there. And they didn't want religious freedom over there. And Abraham has the biblical name, and so they didn't want anybody associated with religion over there. And so 2 strikes, and then my last name, which was Xiong, Xiong, meant that I was of the ethnic group, the Hmong people, that wanted to that fought against the communist regime. So I couldn't get into the country to do missionary work. So after a year in Thailand, I decided, you know what? Let me come back to the U.S. Got back to the U.S., thought, okay, I'm young. What am I going to do the rest of my life? I decided that let me just go work for corporate America and then go from there. Well, I started working for this Fortune 500 company. And one day they had this career day. And this gentleman said, hey, I've been here with this company, this corporate 500 company, for 22 years, and this is what I'm doing. And if you give yourself and give your life to this company, you too can be doing what I'm doing, years from now. And I thought, if I'm doing what he's doing 22 years from now, I wouldn't be very happy. And some people thrive in corporate America, and some people suffocated. And I was one that suffocated in corporate America. And I just thought, this is a great place for some people, but not everyone is meant for corporate America. And so instead of doing what other people who realize that corporate America is not for them, but just kind of stuck around, I decided I have a high risk tolerance level. So I decided, hey, you know what? I understand business. Let me go out there and start a business again. So I had $300 in my name. I went out. I decided to start an office furniture company. Didn't know, didn't have a lot of resources. $300 doesn't buy you much of anything in terms of furniture. So I thought, I understand business principles, so I'm going to study supply, study demand. I'm going to find somebody who have the demand, the need for furniture, and then I already built all these relationships with those that have furniture available. So I was just connected too, and that's kind of one of my first deal in the office furniture business because I couldn't buy inventory. I broker $4,000 worth of furniture and made $500 on my first deal, and I thought, wow, I can do this here. And so that's kind of how I got started in the furniture business. After a few weeks, I decided that I need a warehouse, so I went and rent a 10 by 10 self-storage unit, one of those just typical storage unit, and that was my first warehouse. After about 6 months, I had 75 storage units, and I said, wow, this is too much units here. And I thought I needed, every single unit had its own key and a padlock, and they were calling me the Kris Kringle man because I was shaking and jingling everywhere I went. Well, about that time, I said, let me get to a real warehouse. So I went and rented out a 10,000 square foot warehouse, put pallet rackings in there, moved all my furniture in there. I took $300 and amassed more than $10 million worth of furniture and grew that business. 5 years into that business, I thought, I'm a small guy. I can't carry furniture forever. So let me see what's going to be next in my life. So I decided to sell that business and move into the real estate investing market. I remember buying my first property. After I sold my furniture business, I went into bought my first property. It was in the hood of Atlanta. I grew up in the suburbs, so never been to the hood in Atlanta. It was quite an adventure. Bought this house, and I thought I saw a Mercedes going by. I saw a BMW. I saw a tractor trailer. I thought, man, this is a up-and-coming neighborhood. This is it. I'm making a great, smart decision. Well, after I bought it, 2 days into it, I'm doing renovation at the property, and I looked, and I said, there must be a reason why all these nice cars are coming through. As it turns out, 2 doors down from my house is a drug house, and people were selling drugs from that house. That's why all these nice cars were coming through. Well, that's my first taste of real estate, but I did make money on that property there. I made $50,000 on that first property, and I decided, okay, this is a good start. I started buying more and more real estate property, eventually moved from fixer-uppers to land development in different communities, and started buying, getting into land deals and development deals and building up communities. So we had amassed about $20 million worth of real estate. And then in 2007, guess what happened? Yes, you're right. The real estate bubble burst, and we lost everything. We took our savings, we put our savings into protecting our assets. We did what we could. We lost everything that we built over that period there. And this tsunami came by and wiped out. Large banks like Countrywide went out of business. Home Bank went out of business. All these different banks went out of business. And I thought, I'm just a small fish in this sea of in the sea of real estate. I'm just glad that I'm surviving and that I'm holding on to a palm branch after this tsunami wiped everybody out. And I'm still alive, breathing. I can always restart, not afraid, just find something new. So during that time, we lost all of our savings, lost everything, filed business bankruptcy, personal bankruptcy. And if you, as an entrepreneur, if you've never faced a loss, you're the very few people out there that have never fully seen that. But almost every entrepreneur have faced some kind of loss, some kind of ridicule, some kind of bankruptcy, some kind of challenges, because it's all about risk. And sometimes when you take risk, you win, and sometimes you lose. But it's not about losing in the moment. It's about the ultimate outcome. So I understood the risk, and I said, hey, I'm not afraid. I can always start something new. But I didn't know what that new thing was, because real estate, what I knew at that time was real estate, and I didn't necessarily want to go back into furniture. So I decided, okay, what's next for me? So I decided to get my insurance license, started studying for my security license. Thought that, no, investment is not for me. And then I realized that insurance was not for me. I was looking for that next thing that would be where I can pour myself into. So I was in my empty office one day. All my partners have left. No one was in there. But I had a friend who needed a conference room, and he came to use my conference room. And he was having a meeting in there with a gentleman, and they were talking. So I popped in and I said, hey, what are you guys talking about? He said, we're talking about government contracting. I said, wow, that sounds very interesting. And I said, tell me more. And so I started listening to him about government contracting. And he started asking me about myself. And, at the end of that, I thought it was going to be a 5-minute conversation. It turns out we sat there that afternoon and spoke for about almost 5 hours. And he says, Abe, you know so much about business. Why don't we do something together? And this gentleman, he was a retired lieutenant colonel from the Army, 22 years. 11 of those years, he was a contracting officer. He's awarded over $5 billion in government contracts. And he had a consulting company, but he didn't understand business that much. He understood procurement, but he didn't understand the language of commerce. And he says, Abe, you understand business. Why don't we build a consulting company together? So that's kind of how I got into government contracting. And I told him, I said, hey, I've been praying that God opens up a door, a window for me to go through, and here you are today. This must be that door that I'm waiting for. So after exploring many different things, I decided to get into government contracting. I buried myself into it, started studying, reading, visited thousands upon thousands of websites, read books, articles, spoke to different people about the industry, after a very short period of time, became very knowledgeable and credible in the industry in a short period of time. And what we did was we started a consulting company. In our first year, we did $550,000 in revenue, and we helped our clients win more than $10 million in government contracts. And it was going very well. And I loved what we were doing. We were helping these medium-sized companies because they were paying us a lot of money, $8,000, $10,000 a month, so that we can help them to go and win government contracts. But what I really saw was I saw the disparities that existed in the government market. And it really started to kind of prick my heart because I thought, here I am helping small business and medium-sized companies, but it's really the small business, the mom and pop shop, or the medium-sized business that don't have the money that really needs the help the most in the government space. So I thought, they can't afford my consulting fees, so there must be another way. So, and I saw that, based on the SBA site standard, 99.7% of all companies in the U.S. are considered small. But small businesses are only winning 16% of federal contracting dollars. And I just thought something is just wrong with that. Someone's got to do something about that. And then I look at women-owned businesses. Women represents 51% of the population. 41%, Business Week says 41% of all businesses in the U.S. are owned by women. But guess what? Women businesses are only winning 4.3% of federal contracting dollars. And again, that just kind of hurt my heart, just thinking there's got to be a way to help these people. But under a consulting model, they couldn't afford services. And then I look at minority-owned companies. Minorities represent 35% of the population. And even with this program, like the 8A certification program, minorities are only winning 4.8% of federal contracting dollars through the 8A program. And so after seeing the disparities, I thought, what this really is this is a form of social injustice. This is more than that. This is economic injustice. And I remember Congressman John Lewis, in one of his quotes, he said that we've got to stand in the way of injustice. And so here I am. I know contracting. I understand business strategies. I know how to help business in the government market. They just couldn't afford me. So I made a tough decision that I'm going to leave the consulting company and start up the Government Contractors Association. And to do that, that meant I had to find new ways and new tools to help small businesses, because in a consulting model, you're limited to what you can do because you charge a lot of fees for that. Well, in association, I can create the resources, the curriculums, the software, the strategies, the books, and all that falls under the association platform. And I can connect large companies with small companies. I can connect small companies with primes and government agencies. So I decided that that's what I'm going to do. So after a few months of really just tinkering it through, I started the Government Contractors Association. That's kind of how I got to this place here at the Government Contractors Association. And in this here, some of the first things I wanted to do was I wanted to find a way to aggregate and bring all this information into one house. And so I developed the govfasttrack.com website, which is a platform, and it's a software that takes a business owner from step A all the way to step Z as it relates to government contracting. I decided to write a book, 12 Steps to Winning Government Contracts. I decided to break down government contracting and put it into a simple, understandable way in the ABCs of government contracting in a way that's never been done before. So I created the 5 Ps of government contracting, and it's P plus P plus P plus P equals P, and that's it. And so it's a formula so that anyone can say, oh, you know what, it's just about the 5 Ps. P plus P plus P plus P equals P. And so those are the amazing and fun things I'm doing here. I love what I'm doing here. I get to help businesses change. I get to help them transform. But more importantly, I get to help them make a lot of money in the government market. So as thinking back in my career, in my life, I thought back, when I was young, I was selling lollipop, doing different things, and that was pennies and cents. And then I got into the baseball card store, and I was dealing in the dollars and, $10, $20, a few $100s. And then I got into the my furniture business. And in the furniture business, I was dealing with thousands, $20,000, $30,000 in deals. And then I got into the real estate industry, and I was dealing in the hundreds of thousands in terms of opportunities and deals and connecting people and brokering those kind of deals. And then I got into the largest industry, the largest consumer in the world. I got into the government contracting world, where the government deals with not thousands or millions, but billions. In fact, the federal government is the largest consumer in the world. They awarded $460 billion in government contracts annually, typically more. And that's just the contract side. I'm not even talking about the grant side. The grant side is $550 billion in grants. And so on the contracting side, I'm looking at, wow, that's 9 zeros. $460 billion. That's a lot of money out there. It's larger than ExxonMobil, the largest oil company in the world. It's larger than Walmart, the largest retail store in the world. It's larger than Apple, the largest electronic companies in the world. It's larger than all these different industries. The federal government is the largest buyer. And so as a small business or as a medium-sized business or as a large company, why not do business with the largest customer in the world? And that's kind of, that's the world that I play in. That's the game that I teach people. The rules, the strategies, how to navigate through this maze here. And I enjoy what I do, have a lot of fun. I meet with business every single day of the week. I create new tools, new resources to help business to have a better edge in terms of the competitive landscape in the government market. I teach businesses how to get started, how to assess where they're at, how to get to the next step. I help businesses to get registered in SAM. If you're formerly in CCR, you need to upgrade to SAM. I help businesses to get certified, whether it's women's certification, the WSB or the EdWSB, or whether it's the HubZone certification, whether it's the 8A certification program, or whether it's the Veteran Certification Program, the SDVSB, or the VOSB certification program. I also help businesses get certified at the state level, at the DBE, or the MBE, or the WBE for the state. Every state have their own certifications. Or I help businesses get certified at the local municipality level, whether it's the city level, the county level, or a special type of local municipality certifications. I also help businesses get certified in the commercial sector in terms of engaging the different organizations out there that supports different commercial certifications, whether it's the MBE through the Supply Diversity Council, or whether it is the LGBTE certification, or whether it is the WBE through the different women's organization. I help business through all areas of the certification process. Then I teach them how to market, how to assess their industry, which agency are buying what they're looking for, what agency is actually, how to contact these agencies, how to get their phone number, email number. I've got some great techniques on how to help you to do that research there. I also help you find the agency in terms of the dollar amount that they're spending, so we're not just going blindly. We're not just looking at, I want to do business with the prison system. No, we're looking at, okay, if you're selling janitorial, is the prison system right for you? How much are they spending in janitorial services? Or if you're IT, how much is it that the CDC is spending in IT infrastructure, IT support services? So I kind of help you identify the agency itself, help you have a marketing message. I help you create your capability statements, help you to, first, what is a capability statement? If you have a brochure, the government doesn't use brochures, so you need a capability statement. Your website needs to speak government, or what I call governese, because it's a whole new world, different language, and so you got to get your website to par so that when a contracting officer is looking at your site, they know that you speak the language. So we'll revamp your website, not all of it, but some of it so that it speaks government. We'll also look at any other emailing campaigns that you have, what to say when you engage contracting officers. And then we shift from the registration, assessment to relationship building, marketing, and then we get to the next P, Well, the first P is preparation, which is the registration and assessment. Then the second P, which is the promotion, which is the marketing and the marketing side of it and relationship building. And then the third P, which is the proposal writing phase, which is how do you find opportunities and how do you write proposals. So I'll train you, teach you how to do that. I've got templates and different examples of different proposals out there. And then we shift to the final P, which is the performance, which is at this point here, if you put out a proposal, you put some bids out there, now you've won some contracts. And the first P deals with the pre-award, and the last P deals with the post-award. So the performance is the post-award. Now that you've won a contract, what do you do with it? How do you maintain it? How do you manage the contract? What kind of compliance you have to do? What kind of reporting do you need to do? So we address some of that there on the fourth P. And if you do the 4 Ps well, which is the preparation, which is also the promotion, the proposal, then you do the performance side of it, then you'll get to the last P, which is the profit. And ultimately, you're in business because you want to make a profit. You do the 4 Ps, so you can get to the 5th P, which is to make a profit for your company. And that's what I do here, helping you to be a profitable organization. Because not every contract, not every business that wins a contract is profitable, but we want to show you and teach you how to be profitable. So thanks for hanging out with me for these last few minutes here. I love what I do. Definitely want to be involved in your business and see how we can help you to access more government contracts. And part of what we do is we create contents, articles, blogs, and different videos. So make sure that you subscribe to our channel down here. Don't forget to subscribe, and let us know, give us some feedback, some comments, so that we can continue to create great contents for you. Again, thanks for stopping by, and see you in the next session.